Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Will Adler joins us. Two topics for him: marijuana and Native American tribes. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Love and luck are in the air at Carson Valley Inn. $1,000 winners guaranteed every drawing night. Up to $7,500 every Saturday. And $15,000 in grand prize giveaways Friday, March 31st. It's the Love and Luck giveaways at the Carson Valley Inn.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot hardware store and a whole lot more. It's huge, with clothing, power equipment, tools, and of course, hardware. Big R is located on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and opposite Reed High School. Big R, hardware, and a whole lot more.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome Will Adler to the program. He is the principal of Silver State Government Relations. And I have to mention your lineage, because you're the son of former State Senator Ernie Adler and Sarah Adler, who's worked for rural Nevada for many years. So pleasure to have you continuing the family tradition.
Pleasure to be here. A tradition of being on Nevada Newsmakers too. So I really do appreciate the opportunity, Sam, and thank you for having me here.
You're very welcome. So you represent marijuana companies. We're in a strange situation with marijuana in the state. We legalized it, but we provide marijuana, but people have no place to smoke it unless it's in their private homes, which to me is crazy. Mayor Ed Lawson, I don't know if you saw that show, was on the program. He said he doesn't want to have marijuana lounges in Sparks because he's concerned that if police or fire have to go into a marijuana lounge for some emergency, that they could get tainted with the smoke, then they would test positive. Your thoughts on some of the counties and cities' refusals to have marijuana lounges?
I would say that there is still quite a bit of reefer madness out there in the world. I mean, if a firefighter had to go into a facility that was maybe even on fire, he would obviously have an apparatus on at the time, and I don't think exposure to cannabis would be the #1 priority in any crisis situation. So I do think those concerns are overblown, but local governments do have the ability to regulate and have lounges of their own, but most have chosen not to do it or have taken the slow road. I think Las Vegas is the only one that really has taken the progressive step forward to really allow them at this time.
And Tick Segelblum, of course, is pushing that, even though he's a county commissioner, but it is the city that's doing that. You know, we have jokingly talked on this program many times about the fact that if marijuana is legalized nationally and federally, that the casinos in Las Vegas will have the best smoking lounges anywhere.
You wouldn't find any better, I almost guarantee it, because
and it'll be right next to the buffet, according to Mary Lau.
Why wouldn't it be? Yeah, this is business on top of business. But I do think that's the future of cannabis, and if we see federal decriminalization or legalization, you could see that turnover rather quickly in Nevada. I think Nevada would be one of the states that would uptake it the quickest as well, because we're one that is never to leave the tourists hanging when there's an opportunity to give them an experience that Nevada could provide. So I do think ultimately we should lean into lounges. In the future we'll have more cannabis integration with our tourism economy.
Tick has said that there's no reason not to take it slow and change things as necessary legally to make these things work. But he sees this spreading across the state. Because it seems, sorry, my opinion here, but it seems dumb to me that we have a product that is legal and yet you can't smoke it anywhere, and yet you go to a concert, you go to any outdoor event, or go around the back of a building that's being used for an event, and you're smelling marijuana rather strongly.
Yeah, and it feels like if it's already being done in these places, why don't we do it in a regulated way in these places? So I'm with you there, and I do think it's something that Nevada needs to jump on. And we do have a few bills this year that tried to integrate more marijuana use. Cannabis events even was AB 253 this year, C.H. Miller's, but it goes maybe a little too far, a little too ambitiously for some of the law enforcement. It was doing live events and having actual mobile dispensing of, or pop-up booths that could allow for Life is Beautiful or local events down in Vegas to have cannabis sales there, sort of mobily, or show up at the event. It might be a step too far to do it there because we haven't quite done it in a lounge yet, but it is sort of that next step or that ambitious step from this legislature to increase cannabis sales in different venues. And I do think it is maybe a little ambitious, but in the right lane, in the right approach.
Okay, so I mean, something like Electric Daisy Carnival, where you've got 450,000 people showing up over a 3-day event, which is just stunning itself at the Speedway. I mean, obviously people are bringing their drugs to that. It makes no sense not to allow that, but I would think that it's just a matter of ID, age, all those sort of things that would have law enforcement concerned. Because it seems like once it was legalized, law enforcement went, fine, it's legal, we got other stuff to do. We're after real crime now.
Well, and that maybe is the bigger issue too. So yeah, drug use at EDC is maybe a thing. I wouldn't know myself, but yeah, I do think that law enforcement has taken that step back. Is actually more harmful in other ways because the black market is still there and thriving. So as you indicated, legal operators aren't able to enter these spaces, but the illicit market is thriving in all parts of this country, including Nevada, where we're seeing people purchasing from non-regulated sources because it's cheaper or more available, most likely. And we're missing out as a state because we could be having taxable sales in those spaces, whereas the black market is thriving today, and we are trying to do everything we can to curb that. And Take Second is helping at a local government level, but that is the combating piece now, where we've legalized marijuana, and some law enforcement agencies feel like it's not their responsibility to even monitor the illegal part of it now, in spite legal businesses struggling to capture the whole of cannabis sales in Nevada.
What I found interesting too is on a recent visit to Las Vegas, I happened to be in a dispensary with somebody looking for CBD products that don't contain THC, and it was interesting that the response was, well, actually we don't really carry those kind of products because we're a tourist-based economy in this particular business, and the people that are coming here all want the THC. So I mean, it's a massive business in Las Vegas.
It is, and it is one where we see people who want THC heavy or CBD strictly products, and it's a shame they didn't have those in those stores because most do carry a wide variety of all assortments to serve assortment of populations. But Vegas is tourism heavy because it is Vegas.
Somebody said to me, and I don't remember who it was, but probably a couple of years ago now, that if you had the choice between buying black market and legal, you would go with legal. He said, for example, if somebody was offering Jim's vodka for $1 a bottle versus Stolichnaya at the regular price, which would you buy? And it would be, well, you'd buy the Stoli. But that hasn't turned out to be so true with marijuana.
I would say it's even a more complex issue than that. Like I said, law enforcement has a hard time combating the illicit market. Some of them look like regular dispensaries, and a lot of tourists don't actually know what they're purchasing sometimes, as they will go online, go to Craigslist or go to some other Weed Maps pages and be able to find an illicit dispensary advertising as if they were real. They actually deliver to casino properties where we cannot. And tourists who are unaware and there for a day or two sometimes purchase from illicit people thinking they purchase legally. It is a complex issue, and it is one about price, convenience, and availability, where we're trying to actually educate the consumer to know what they're choosing and make the right choice, because they aren't buying a tested, certified product if they're just buying something from Joe on the street.
Well, there's an irony there because, if you're going to have illicit marijuana sales, it's starting to sound like illicit escort services.
Yeah.
Back in the good old days when they had phone books, there were like 300 pages of escort services in the Las Vegas phone book. I don't know how that works online these days.
It is quite.
Don't ask me how I know that.
It is quite the same for escorts and illicit cannabis, I believe. You'll see a slew of that online and a lot of the advertising straight to consumer, because the availability of the one-time consumer in Vegas it's easily duped consumers, sadly, and we do need to educate them better about where to purchase cannabis and how to purchase it legally and correctly.
Okay, is the taxing situation so high that it's forcing people into the black market?
I would say taxing is the number one competitive disadvantage Nevada has structured ourselves for. Nevada actually has two tax streams. We have the wholesale tax in the middle there that cultivators pay a 15% wholesale tax on the cultivated product first, and then a 10% retail tax for the customers when they purchase the product at a dispensary. Really what we're looking at is the retail storefront 10% is actually very competitive with most states, but the wholesale tax isn't actually keeping up and is kind of the older tax method that you see in some states that really doesn't exist other than Nevada and Colorado. If I were to say the wholesale tax in Nevada actually is inflated today, as we set a fair market value that isn't meeting the actual sales of our cultivators to date. So if we were to do something, I would try and adjust the tax policy to lower the cost of goods sold so we can lower it at the register for our consumers. But we do have a bill this year, AB 430, from the Assembly Revenue Committee that is looking to adjust cannabis taxes in the state of Nevada. And it is my hope that they will do what California did last year and delete our wholesale tax to make us more competitive with the illicit market and the states around us.
Do you think that is likely? Most states are reluctant to give up funds. They might cut the funds, but get rid of them completely?
At this point, Nevada's over-assessing our wholesale tax. We can state it's over the 15% that it should be at today. So something has to be done today because our consumers are paying an excessive amount of tax, more than we intended. As it's over the 15%, I do think we needed to adjust it to be a true 15% for what cultivators are selling it for, or do what California did and adjust the wholesale tax by removing it and possibly adding to the retail tax if revenues are needed there.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Will Adler after this timeout.
Win some Leprechaun loot during the $75,000 all-cash Go Green giveaways. More than 150 winners in all. Find your pot of gold with $15,000 in weekly cash giveaways guaranteed. And $25,000 in grand prize giveaways, including a $15,000 cash top prize. It's a good time to win at Tamarack Casino.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your furnace breaks down today? We fix it today. Why freeze for days while your furnace is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get warm again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 and we'll fix it today. That's 323-5585 or online at nevadaheating.com.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Located in the heart of Carson City, the Bank Saloon is a historic watering hole with a modern feel. With a variety of classic cocktails featuring Nevada spirits, space for private events, conferences, and an incredible atmosphere, the Bank Saloon offers a great location to work and play. Come visit us. Located at the corner of 5th and Carson, we'll save you a drink.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Will Adler. He's the principal for Silver State Government Relations. We're talking about marijuana. So what things, apart from cutting the wholesale tax out, would you like to see the legislature do in terms of oversight of the marijuana industry? So
Currently the CCB is a regulatory structure all its own. It's similar to the Gaming Control Board, but it has maybe an excess of power or regulatory ability that other agencies don't have today. Robin Titus has a bill to address that that would bring them under the same statutory and regulatory restrictions called 233B. It's a very simple bill, but it would actually make them in parity with other agencies. Today, we've seen the CCB sort of overfining, overassessing, and overcharging cannabis license holders with penalties sort of in the last calendar year especially, that have raised a couple questions about, what should we have as an agency when it comes to regulating the cannabis industry, because we need an agency that doesn't just regulate the legal market and make sure we're doing everything we can, crossing every I, dotting every T kind of thing. But we also need somebody who can reach out and say, what's going on with the black market? What's going on with these illicit sales? What's going on with the interactions with the non-regulated market? Because that's where we're struggling to do it ourselves, is we can't reach out and combat that black market and disrupt those sales. The CCB could, though, or it could be restructured to do something like that. So we have a couple bills in the works with those efforts, but Robin Titus's bill is a good one for restructuring that, because I do think the number one concern would be getting them under 233B, because that does structure it where they would be accessible like other regulatory agencies in Nevada. But AB 328 would do that this year.
Has it surprised you that we haven't, when marijuana first became legal, my thought was that, I'm going to be driving down the freeway and I'm going to see a whole lot of people driving at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that really didn't occur. I mean, I'm not hearing from law enforcement that they've seen a huge uptick in traffic crime or other crimes connected to marijuana beyond the black market. Is that the same thing that you're seeing and hearing?
We're seeing an overwhelming, showing of support from law enforcement, because the cannabis industry has done such a good job of keeping it within the bounds of our licenses, making sure we don't have youth sales, we don't have diversion to the black market. A lot of the fears that they first put forward actually have not materialized at all. In fact, we pay a 3% local government fee to ensure that local governments are made whole and that they have their own access to revenues to combat unknown costs from legalized cannabis. A lot of local governments are looking at restructuring that 3%, including Clark County and Tick-Sigerbloom, to be more combative towards helping us with the black market and doing their own procedural takedowns of illicit cannabis markets, because they feel that would be the best use of that funds to support us, because they don't really need it to monitor us, as we've been some of the most obscene businesses you've seen in Nevada.
Do you think that we're within a 3 to 5 year timeline for it to be federally legalized?
I would say it's quite possible you can see federal legalization, or at least the talk of it, come 2024 even. It is a political year, and Democrats do want to get some of these talking points out there.
And tax revenues.
And tax revenues. In our delegation in particular, Jackie Rosen has taken a lead on being forthright of wanting to see cannabis legalization in the United States. So I do think it could be coming sooner than people think. But yeah, 3 to 5 years is tangible or likely, because we've seen the majority of states go medically permissive, and then I think almost the majority of states that have some sort of recreational policy. And with that, the majority of Americans are already under recreational cannabis state, just because of the population dynamics and where the country's at. I think you're going to see the mass opinion of the country change as well to see federal legalization coming.
All right, let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll talk about one of your other client bases after this time out.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Will Adler. He is the principal with Silver State Government Relations. One of the other client bases that you deal with are Native American tribes in Nevada. In Southern Nevada, they had a huge victory in this last couple of weeks.
Yes. Southern Nevada, they actually, we're seeing tribal integration with the casino markets down in Southern Nevada as well. We're seeing tribes actually take over strip casinos. So Native American talking points are larger than ever here in Nevada. But this year we're actually seeing the legislature step up in a lot of ways. Last year we saw tribal tuition with Natha Anderson get passed for Nevada higher education schools to allow tribal students to have free educational access or no fees around the base tuition. She has a cleanup bill for that this year, and last year was very controversial and opposed, and this year unanimous support, and she came out and supported the bill itself. So I think tribes are seeing a new era of support from the Nevada legislature, and a good one at that.
And what I was thinking also about the National Monument.
Yes, the designation was humongous. I mean, Biden came out and did that and really put his foot down and said, I think this is the right position to take, and I think he's going to get a lot of support for doing that.
Yeah, and Dina Titus wrote that bill and is obviously enjoying a victory lap on that. Tell me about what's going on up in Oahe that is being worked on.
Oahe is part of the Duck Valley Reservation. Duck Valley is at the north end of Elko. It actually straddles the border with Idaho. It is the most downtrodden school you could find, though, because Oahe is a high school that was transferred to the tribe from BIA about 70 years ago. Sadly, underneath that school is a hydrocarbon plume that's polluted the water source and caused a cancer cluster in that tribal colony, and has caused great hardship there. And to fix that, the main part of this for Nevada is to help the kids, because those are Nevada students, that is a Nevada school there. So the legislature is looking at a legislative measure through Alexis Hansen, AB 273, to actually fund a whole new school at Oahe and do a designation of over $70 million to show that this school needs the care of Nevada and to be moved to get away from the pollution that's causing the cancer there.
Let's talk about Thacker Pass for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a battle between mining interests and environmental interests. And you know, Native American tribes have been involved in those discussions. What is, in your opinion, the thought from the tribes that, you know, up around McDermott that would be affected by Thacker Pass? Do you think for the most part they are in support of that mine?
I can't speak particularly for McDermott, but I would say it is always a mixed bag when it comes to interactions with tribes and mines and regional governments in general. But a lot of Native American tribes actually support mines and mines in the region because it's jobs, it's resources, and actual funds for health clinics and things that they don't see in those rural parts of Nevada. I do think there's a mix there where the majority of folks around McDermott actually may support Thacker Pass in that project, whereas other Native American groups have vocally opposed it for other reasons. But it is one where you see support on both sides and a lot of opposition on the other side. But it is a mixed, mining is a mixed subject for a lot of Native American communities because mining is relevant to them because a lot of communities of tribes are in rural Nevada where mines are located. And those are incomes to them through direct jobs and through direct funding from these mines. So I would say it's definitely a long history between mining and Native American communities, but it isn't always a negative one, actually.
One of the things I have always been pleased to see was the Reno Sparks Indian Colony and their economic development outreach, which has been phenomenal. I mean, from the huge Walmart that they have on their lands to the Mercedes-Benz dealership in South Reno. I mean, it just seems like they've been very forward-thinking in terms of how to sustain that colony.
Yeah, I think that is sort of the right approach. And you see urbanized tribes have these abilities to have businesses inside of urban cores, like the Walmart, like the car dealerships. But urban tribes have a different advantage compared to rural tribes, where there are businesses out there, but fisheries and having fish licenses for Pyramid Lake may not generate the same kind of revenue as Reno Sparks Indian Colony. But I do think tribal communities are getting more educated, getting more integrated, and more knowledgeable about their own power and empowerment, and they're taking those stands to get grants, to get funding, and to actually mobilize and empower their own communities. And it's powerful to see, and it's better every year in this legislature.
The Seminoles, with Hard Rock, as you were mentioning earlier, and 2 other tribes are making gains in the Las Vegas Strip. I've always been curious as to why Pyramid Lake never sought a gaming license, because it seems that would be a great thing for economic development. Can you shed any light on that?
I would say traditionally tribal gaming was frowned upon in Nevada, just to be very frank. A lot of larger gaming communities said there was no need to have tribal gaming, as we already have gaming in the state. That created a lack of funding and a lack of opportunity for a lot of tribes to engage in that. But looking towards the future, I think a lot of tribes would entertain the idea, or at least try to stimulate any economic activity as they could. And a casino now could be more viable as population dynamics of Northern Nevada has spread down 80 towards Fernley, and you do get a lot of cross traffic going past Pyramid Lake that you didn't get even 5 years ago.
All right, and that's where we have to leave it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
An interesting mix of topics today.
Thank you, and I always appreciate it, Sam. You do an amazing job, and thank you for inviting me here to Nevada Newsmakers.
Well, you're always welcome, sir. Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
Carson City and the Builders Alliance for their help with our coverage of the 2023 legislative session. We'll see you on the next broadcast.